Hello, this is QTV News and I am Mumudu Kajaga. Welcome to the news and thank you for joining us. First, here are the main local news headlines. 2 people have died and 4 are seriously injured after a pickup truck driven by an economic soldier struck a tricycle at Mariamakunda Junction on Saturday. Despite widely reported allegations of irregularities, the IEC's provisional list of registered voters has faced no objections or appeals from the public after the 14-day period for any legal challenge elapsed. Senior GRA and National Audit officials attended a 4-day capacity building training in diplomacy and professional etiquette. The Minister of Environment has presided over the launch of 7 books written in 7 years.
On full beam. As I tried to flash my headlights for him to dim his lights, I heard a bang. I saw then what he had hit a tricycle and run over the people in it and then stopped next to me. I tried talking to him, but he was drunk and could not even stand up properly. He pretended he was going to turn his car and pick up the dead bodies. Instead, he drove away and we chased him. The 2 people killed, Mohamed Korkaba, 18, and Kemo Sane, 35, lived in the same compound in New Yundum. Korka was a final year student at Model Senior Secondary School who are currently doing their WAS examinations. His class teacher, Umijame, told us what sort of a student Korka was.
Mamadou was a very good student, and in fact our best students, we have them in 12A1 and 12A2. He was in our best class doing well, and he was so disciplined and down to earth.
Catherine Sambu and Zainab N. Jawara, the head girl and assistant head girl of Model Senior Secondary School, described their fellow student as humble and called on the authorities to support the seriously injured in hospital.
Though we lose Mamadou Kiba, there is no way that he can come back. The only thing is we need prayer for him, and it's only prayer that will find him in his grave here, not of tears.
Aliuba, a relative to the deceased, calls on the government to investigate the matter and prosecute the perpetrator.
This news reached to the family that 2 of them passed away, so which was so shocking, it was so painful, which brings a lot of pain to the family. We are urging the government to stand on this case because you cannot be drunk and drive.
However, in a statement from ECOWAS, which contradicts eyewitnesses' statement, the commander of ECOMIC, Colonel Sheikh Omar Tamba, confirmed that, according to the information they have, a Ghanaian contingent ECOMIC vehicle going from Old Yundum towards Fajara, on reaching Mariamakunda Junction, a tricycle that was trying to avert a pothole suddenly ran into the driver's lane from the left side of the road, causing the collision. The ECOWAS statement does not address the allegation that the driver was drunk. In further contradiction of the eyewitnesses' account, the ECOWAS statement, which was also given in an interview to an online TV channel, goes on to say, according to the driver, he stopped and came out of the vehicle to check on the persons in the tricycle so as to help them. However, a mob came to the scene, and a gentleman who felt the accident was not his fault told him to flee the scene because the mob would kill him. Therefore, he quickly drove off back to Paradise Estate in Old Yundum, and the mob followed him in Opta vehicles. Realizing he was being trailed, he left the vehicle in a nearby house at Paradise Estate and hid from the mob. End of statement. The family, though, is demanding justice while they await the outcome of the police investigation. Babu Karsi, QTV News.
Very sad news. May the souls of the departed rest in Jannah. In other news, despite widely reported allegations of irregularities, the IEC's provisional list of registered voters has faced no objections or appeals from the public after its publication on the 15th of August, an elapsing period of 14 days for any legal challenge. The revising courts, whose work was scheduled to commence on Monday, 6th September, confirmed they have received no appeals or objections. QTV's Mahmoud Lamin Choi visited the courts and has the latest.
The revising courts, which were established to rule on objections to and appeals against the IEC's provisional voters register, have no cases to review. A day after they were scheduled to start operating. We visited 4 of them in the KMC and West Coast regions to monitor progress. Chief Magistrate Omar Cham speaks to QTV.
Up to yesterday, we did not receive any case or cases. So this is why I said that's the good news, because when cases come to court, it means it's a dispute that needs to be settled. So I am assuming that if there is no case, there is no dispute.
All the revising courts we visited confirmed they had not received any formal objections or appeals. The Independent Electoral Commission had published and pasted its provisional list of registered voters at registration centers for public viewing, objections and appeals. Aissatou Jane Njie, a principal magistrate, was among those appointed to hear cases through the revising court at Kanifing Magistrates Court. She tells us about the legal procedure for hearing an appeal or objection.
After the list is conducted, I think the public has to lodge these appeals or objections within 14 days from the date of publication. And if that is lodged too, the registering officer of the IEC has a duty within 14 days again to prepare another list of appeals and deletions. They are also required to paste those lists of appeals and deletions for the public to go over them. I think after a certain period or so, 14 days, I presume, they file those appeals or objections to the court. That is when we start the revising court proper. But if we do not receive this, then basically there is nothing for us to do.
So, time has already elapsed for anyone to file an objection or complaint to the revising courts. The IEC's Director of Training and Communication confirmed to QTV via telephone that the Commission has not received any objections or appeals from the public. The Director also reveals that the courts will therefore proceed with certifying the provisional list of registered voters. However, although there have been no objections or appeals filed at the revising courts, there is nevertheless an anomaly about the provisional list of registered voters. The IEC had issued a statement that out of the 800,000 people registered, it had detected 2,996 voters who had registered twice or more. This is a criminal offense. However, as there have been no objections or appeals, it has not been decided what actions, if any, will be taken against those found liable. Mohamed Lamin Choi, QTV News.
The Diplomacy, Etiquette and Protocol Consulting Agency, in partnership with the Gambia Revenue Authority, on Monday commenced a 4-day capacity building training for their senior GRA and national audit officials in diplomacy and professional etiquette.
Hailed as an important step towards instituting a culture of diplomacy and strong observance of protocols for two very important public institutions, the GRA and the National Audit Office, this training is being spearheaded and conducted by the Diplomacy, Etiquette and Protocol Consulting Agency that is headed by the widely respected former Gambian ambassador to Senegal, Burkina Faso and Mali, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary Ibrahima Ousmane Ndour. Addressing participants, Ambassador Ndour says thorough knowledge of protocol is an indisputable necessity for the proper handling of important diplomatic assignments and safeguarding the country's performance, image and reputation. Ambassador Ndour thanked the GRA and the National Audit Office for their support and willingness to take part in such an important training.
The Diplomacy Etiquette Protocol Consulting, DPC, was established in Banjul in December 2020, a month after my contract with the Gambia government came to an end in my capacity as High Commissioner of the Republic of the Gambia to the Republic of Senegal, and also Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to the Republic of Mali and the Republic of Burkina Faso.
He adds that capacity building is imperative to the development of both public and private institutions, and went on to enjoin participants to utilize the chance to participate fully in what is a rare opportunity. Commissioner General of the Gambia Revenue Authority, Yankuba Dabo, thanked Ambassador Ndour and his agency for facilitating this important training for his senior staff and gave assurance of the GRA management's unwavering support to building the capacity of its staff, adding that such training courses will provide participants with the necessary skills and competencies to handle diplomatic engagements.
Revenue officers are not just required to be honest and disciplined. We are also required to be courteous and diplomatic in our engagement with taxpayers and the citizenry at large. Diplomacy, etiquette, and adherence to protocol is central in our operation as Revenue Authority because diplomacy, etiquette, and protocol is about respecting and following correct procedures and the strict adherence to code of conduct.
Madam Fumike Sarr is one of the lead facilitators of the training with vast experience in diplomacy, having served in Togo and other countries in the region. Participants will receive training on business, corporate office, and social etiquette. Ambassador Ndour also revealed that there are plans to extend similar training to diplomatic and government protocol officers, international and regional organizations. Answane Sonyasi for KTV News.
From that story, we will now go for a short commercial break, and when we return, we will have some more local news stories for you. Do stay tuned.
Check out the all-new Tigo app at S-Pass Motors. Call 3522-222 or 353-2222 for more information.
Cherry. Looking for the fastest and easiest way to receive money transfers from abroad? Well, QMoney and RIA just made it happen. Now you can receive international money transfer from RIA directly into your QMoney account with no additional cost. Once you receive an SMS alert about your transfer, walk into any QMoney agent across the country to receive your payment for free, or use the money immediately to buy credit, QPower, and other QMoney services. It's fast, safe, and convenient. For more info, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Calpe. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. Yaya Silla, a Gambian author who says he received only an informal non-education, has nonetheless gone on to write 7 books in 7 years. They were launched at the Sardauda Conference Center at an event presided over by the Minister of Environment. More in this story.
The importance of a book to help us learn and understand things cannot be underestimated. It holds all kinds of information, stories, thoughts, and feelings. Reading is important because it develops our thoughts, gives us endless knowledge and lessons while keeping our minds active. At the launching, Dr. Chandra Omar Barry, president of the Writers Association of the Gambia, spoke about the difference between critical and creative thinking to encourage people to read and write.
When we talk about critical thinking, it means you do not have to just swallow everything up. You have to use your imagination. You have to use your mind. You have to be sharp. You have to process information. Now, creative thinking encourages people to use a variety of approaches to solve problems, such as analyzing multiple viewpoints, adapt ideas, and arrive at new solutions. Sometimes it is referred to as divergent thinking. Now, if you look at the two, if you put the two together, you realize that critical and creative thinking, they converge, they overlap. Like in creative thinking, is the thinking we do when we generate ideas. But in critical thinking, is the thinking we do when we judge ideas.
Representing President Barrow, the Minister of Environment, Lamin Diba, highlighted the importance of science and research while commending the author for his innovation.
To be sincere and honest enough, the culture of reading in this country is very poor. The culture of research in this country is very poor. Technology, science, innovation, but to cram it all, we can never progress without venturing into research, science, technology, and innovation. And I believe Yaya must have addressed these cardinal issues in his book. Therefore, we thank you for giving Gambians materials to read.
The author said his passion to read and write started in 1993 when he was denied a US visa because he could not speak English. He explains the efforts he made to change his life and advised people on how to get knowledge.
Number one, spend time in the company of scholars. Number 2, travel the world so you can learn from other cultures. And number 3, engage in effective research in order to satisfy your curiosity. I use the library to seek knowledge and transform my life from a failure into a massive success. On that note, a special thanks go to the President, His Excellency President Adam Barrow, and his entire government.
Mr. Silla called on Gambians to inculcate the habit of reading, as readers are leaders. Some of the books written by him include How to Build the Gambia, The Power of Positive Imagination, Why Do People Suffer, How to Become a Millionaire, Danger a Miracle Child, and Africa and Irregular Migration. Mr. Silla also runs a library and a publishing company called Subakunda Publishing. Listening to Mr. Silla's life journey could provide the perfect inspiration to develop a habit of reading books, starting with those authored by Mr. Silla, or become a writer. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Bosonko.
Congratulations to Yaya Silla, who is truly an inspiration. Following the declaration of the coronavirus as a public health emergency and then a pandemic in 2020, health experts advised the public to follow safety and health guidelines. QTV's Loli M. Camara went to find out how the pandemic has improved sanitation and hygiene in households.
The health guidelines to prevent the spread of COVID-19 include observing social distancing, wearing face masks, and regularly washing hands with soap, and using hand sanitizers. All of these are ways of maintaining good hygiene. The safety measures are important to adhere to, including at household level, which is sometimes crowded with family members and visitors. Jaroy Danso, a family head, says he is always careful about adhering to WHO guidelines.
Follow.
First of all, what fighting these diseases need is to maintain cleanliness at all times. You need a container at home, filled with clean water and soap. Make sure you wash your hands when going out and when you return. To protect people during the pandemic, sensitization on good sanitation and hygiene is important. By Jase, an Arabic school teacher in Bakote, relates his experience.
Since the disease was announced in the country, the health workers have advised what will save people from the disease. As the saying goes, prevention is better than cure.
Auntie Fatou Sose, a businesswoman and a mother, said what she has seen on TV and other social media platforms is that the disease is no fake and people should not joke about it.
We, the women, should increase our effort in cleaning and taking care of our children at home. Since the virus was announced in the country over a year ago, I have been following the advice given by the health expert, and this has really improved my hygiene and that of my family.
Bai and Auntie Fatou have a word of advice to people.
Like the health experts have said, let's follow those measures to save ourselves and our loved ones from the disease.
For me, the advice to myself and the rest is, let us increase cleanliness and pay attention to our children. The government and its developmental partners are taking steps to ensure our healthcare system is equipped with the necessary resources, including the availability of COVID-19 vaccines, PPEs, face masks, hand sanitizers, amongst others, to save us from the deadly coronavirus. As we have seen, we, the public, also have a crucial role to play in fighting this disease. For QTV News, Loli M. Kamar.
Still on COVID-19, the coronavirus pandemic has affected the normal performance of health sectors across the world. It has posed a serious threat to access to family planning, bringing about millions of unwanted pregnancies globally. Jenna Bosonko reports.
A UNFPA report determined that due to neglected health services in least developed countries, about 47 million women in these countries will not be able to utilize contraception, and this would result in 7 million unintended pregnancies. Aliu Jame, Program Analyst for Reproductive Health Commodity Security, confirmed to us that the Gambia was affected by this menace.
COVID-19 actually affected the distribution of family planning. As you may know, there were some national health regulations that actually restrict the movement of people countrywide. That also affected most of our services and access to family planning services. But on a broader note, also the supply chain, globally was affected, to get commodities from, let's say, the manufacturers to those who are using it was a serious problem. So COVID-19 generally affected the supply chain.
The contraceptives that were mainly scarce during the pandemic are Depo-Provera, which is a 3-month injectable contraceptive, also Microgynon, which is a combined oral contraceptive pill, and condom, a non-hormonal contraceptive, which also prevents STD, was unavailable. Phoebe and Aina Grant Sanyang spoke to us about the effects of how the unavailability of condom due to the pandemic affected women.
It serves as for dual purpose. One, to prevent pregnancy, and the other aspect is to prevent STD, sexually transmitted disease. And once one is sexually active without using any method of contraceptive but wants to use the condom, can acquire the STD. So it is needed in every country to have condoms because it can protect a lot. This STD, you have different types of STDs. People, they know more of HIV/AIDS, but you have other STDs, that is the hepatitis B and C, you have the herpes. These are non-curable. HIV is part of it, it's non-curable. You have the gonorrhea, you have the syphilis.
Also, little access to routine healthcare services due to lockdown and suspended transportation affected healthcare, especially women's access to sexual and reproductive healthcare. Phoebe and Aina Grant Sanyang further delved into the effects of the unavailability of contraceptive on women.
One can't avoid it if you have not been using this contraceptive. If you don't have it, it can lead to unwanted pregnancy. And unwanted pregnancy is unplanned pregnancy. And if those things happen, it leads to unsafe abortions. Because abortion is illegal in the country. So if one doesn't have these services, then we have to look at the abortion rate. It will be high because the pregnancies are not wanted.
Sexual and reproductive health is important for women's well-being and health. It gives them a chance to make decisions about their bodies, thereby protecting their children and partners. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Bosonko.
Now, before we end the news, here is a recap of our main news headlines. 2 people have died and 4 are seriously injured after a pickup truck driven by an ECOMIC soldier struck a tricycle at Mariama Kunda Johnson on Saturday. Despite widely reported allegations of irregularities, the IEC's provisional list of registered voters has faced no objections or appeals from the public after the 14-day period for any legal challenge elapsed. Senior GRA and National Audit officials attended a 4-day capacity building training in diplomacy and professional etiquette. The Minister of Environment has presided over the launching of 7 books written in 7 years by a Gambian author based in the UK. That's all in tonight's news edition. Thank you very much for watching, but don't forget to join us at 10 for another bulletin.